Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Your Techie Buddy. So this is a continuation of our Java 8 interview question series. Previously we have spoken about Java 8 new features added, the Lambda expression, functional interfaces and default methods in interface. So today I'm going to cover about static methods in interface. So let's get started. So this is the demo class which I used last time for the demonstration of the default methods. So you know, right? Default methods are the methods which have body in interfaces, and you can override the implementation of the same in the demo class. Like you can change the implementation of this, right? So for static methods are also similar to default method, and I've said the fact that you can use the static keyword in default methods. So now this is a static method in your interface. Those also have body. So if you see, as soon as I added static, there is a problem which has come in the demo class which implemented this print, which was calling this print method. Why? As you all know, right, when we have something called static, it is associated with the class, not with any instance, right? So as soon as I made it static, if you see, so what is demo here? Demo is an instance of the demo class, which is implementing the interface. But now we have made this as static. That means this print method is the owner of this print method is interface directly. No other object can own it. That's why when I do demo.print, it is telling static method may be invoked or contain on containing interfaces classes. So as soon as you make print as static, you can use print by calling the interface name dot print. So this is how a static method is called. You cannot, it is not visible to the to any instance. If you see demo dot, we are not able to view it, right? So this is what the difference between static and default is. Default methods are also used to provide body implementation to the methods in interfaces, and static method also do the same. But but the default methods are accessible by the class instance which is implementing the interface. But the static methods, as they are bound with the class, we can use it only with the interface name. Going back to the slide, what are static methods in interface? Static methods are similar to default methods. That is, they also have the method implementation in interface to which they belong to, right? To declare a method static in interface, we should use the static keyword. Unlike other methods in interface, these static methods contains the complete implementation of the function. And since the definition is complete, therefore the implementing classes need not override these. So the point here is, so now you will be thinking, right? Default methods also we can give the body, static methods also we can give the body. Then what's the point of having two different things, right? So the point is generally the kind of code you write in a static method of an interface is generally a complete one. Those are those functionalities which you want as it is in the classes which are implementing their interface. You don't want that functionality to be altered by the classes which are implementing that interface. So for those functionality, you should go for static methods. And for the methods where you want that functionality to be overridden, like previously I had made this as default, what will happen, right? If I make this as default, if I make this as default, you see demo dot print. We are able to see this, right? So for this print method, you can, if you want, you can override here. You can give the you can override this implementation, the implementation of this in the class which is implementing it. So public, I am the class method. So now when I call this demo.print, right, if you see, it will say I am the class method. Now suppose I have not overridden this. This is in case of default, okay? If I don't override this, it will give I am interface demo 1. So that is the flexibility you have in default methods. So you added a default method in an interface. It is backward compatible. It is not breaking any classes which is implementing this demo. And then you are free to give any implementation you want. But similarly, if this is a static method, if this is a static method no longer visible to the class instance, we are calling with the interface name dot print. And suppose I will do this here, it will complain. It will say method does not override method from a superclass. Why? We have a print method in the superclass, but then this is not visible to the class because this is on the interface level. And suppose I don't write this override, then this is just like a method which is for this demo class. Now you can do demo.print, but this will be a method called for this class. It is not the this one. Although you have provided an implementation with the same name signature, still it is this one. That's why we cannot override this definition in the class. If you see, demo.print is calling the one in the class and the interface name.print is calling the one in the interface. So any such things which you want, any implementation which you want the over of the implementing classes should not override, you should give in a static method. Otherwise, if you want to give that flexibility to the to the implementing classes to override or to give their own implementation to methods, that time you should go for default methods. So that is this point. Unlike other method in interface, these static methods contain the complete implementation of the function, and since the definition is complete, therefore the implementing classes need not override these. To use static method in implementing classes, we should use the interface name. This is what I showed you, right? Interface name. You should call the static method using interface name. So few interview questions which which might arise is what is the difference between static and default methods in interface? Just now I explained you Java interface static method is similar to default method except that we cannot override them in the implementing classes, right? We cannot override them means we cannot give their own implementation in the overridden classes. Then why do we need static methods when we have default methods, right? I explained you this already. Both the methods have body in the interface. Then why do we need them? Why do we need them? Because the feature helps us in avoiding undesired results in case of poor implementation in the implementation classes. That is for the static method. Just now I explained you, right? Any implementation which you feel it is final, you don't want that implementation to be altered by the implementing classes, you should write that in the static method. And these features help us to avoiding undesired result. If you don't want that to be altered or behave in a different way, you make it a static. This will help us avoiding the undesired results in case of poor implementation in implementing classes. Can an interface have both static and default? This is just for confusing. Interviewer might ask you, can an interface have both static and default method? Yes, an interface can have both static and default methods. I'll show you. There will not be any error. This is just to confuse you, they might ask you. See, we can have both default and static methods in interfaces. This is also a very important question which I already explained you. When should we use static methods then? Java interface static methods are good for providing utility methods. For example, null check, collection, sorting, etc. Utility method in the sense something which you feel will be some functionality which you feel is very frequently used or will be used many times in your code, that you can just put it in the static method and the implementing classes can just use that functionality, right? You don't want that to be overridden or give any other implementation. In that case, you can go for static method. So it is good in case of null check, and because null check will never change, right? Null check is null check, collection, sorting, etc. Java interface's static method helps us in providing security by not any, as I explained you, right? Any implementation which you don't want the overriding classes to override, you can give that. So that is what is providing security by not allowing the implementing classes to override them. Right? Can we declare interface a static method for object class? This is also a very important interview question. They ask you to trick you. So we cannot define interface static method for object class methods. We will get compiler error. So they are asking is like in the static methods you can give a default implementation, right? In an interface. So why not go ahead and override the one in the object class and give a implementation to that like hash code, right? So I have been asked this question. The hash code, can you give a implementation, right? So you cannot give, we will get compiler error that this static method cannot hide the instance of the object method. So if you see, if I do int hash code static, it will tell me static method hash code in this cannot override the instance method of hash code in java.lang.object. So this answers the last question, right? Can we declare interface static method in object of for object classes? So we cannot do that. Okay. So yeah, that is the video on static methods. Please go and watch the previous video if you are not watched for functional interfaces and default. The next video is going to be very important on optional classes, method references. So all these are very important. Yeah, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to the channel.